Welcome to the Kyero Pro Podcast. This is episode 4, where we dig into a real-life case study of an AI agent being used by a real estate agent in Spain. Not theory, the real blood, sweat and tears of what a real AI project looks like.
So we're lucky to have the full team, an estate agency and the people putting the AI agent into place. But before we get cracking into what it is and all the rest of it, maybe we ask you guys to introduce yourself. And Annelies, you want to get started?
Well, yeah, I'm Annelies. I'm from Chapter Marbella. So we're a Belgian real estate agent, and with Chapter Marbella now we have 4 agents already here, and we have a whole team in Belgium for marketing. Like, I think more or less 12 people are working for or with us, and we're actually growing, and it's growing quite fast, and that's where I need some help, because you can't do anything. And my home base is here in the tech hub here in Marbella, where everything's happened. Alfredo, you know the place really well. And that's how I met Cristina on one of the members meetings, and she started talking about what she is doing, and it's like, oh my God, I need to talk to her.
Before we move on to Cristina, you tell me a little bit about what you used to do. It's kind of interesting in Belgium.
Yeah, well, in Belgium, a long time ago, in 2003, I started as a voice actress, this voice artist. I did L'Oréal, Garnier Base, all the big campaigns, and for television, radio. I did some voiceovers, dubbing as well from movies. I was an actress on television as well. And after 10 years, I started working as a training actress, sales training, communication trainings for big firms in the harbor of Antwerp, the port of Antwerp, private offices. And I was the simulator. So you have a communication trainer and explain to people how you react, how you do it in sales. And then after 2-3 days, I came in and I got paid to, being a bitch, being a lunatic, being a difficult person. And it was, or really help the people through everything you go through in sales, because nobody trusts a salesperson. And there's so many tricks or things you can do. And I had the honor to work with more than 12 really top trainers. It really helps me here in Marbella and in my job here in the Costa del Sol. And it's all about trust and reading your clients and feel or hear what their needs are. And my past really helps me in this process. Yeah.
Cristina, over to you.
I'm Cristina, Sancho, and along with Johan, we co-founded Initia. And Initia is, where everybody's talking about AI, we like to talk about OI, because we're operational intelligence, right? A studio. So what we do is we focus on helping companies identify where they can optimize their day-to-day, their operational stuff. So identifying tasks or processes that can be either optimized or tasks that can be already automated. And we work with them. So from discovery phase, which is where Annelies and I met, to making the plan, designing the automations that will happen, and then develop that and maintain it. So it's the full cycle from the discovery until the actual systems are working, which we will talk about. That's exactly what we're doing with Annelies. We also have our other clients already active since months ago as well. So that's me, and I'm more in charge of the client relationship, the business development part, and Johan is, without him, it wouldn't be possible to develop all that we're doing.
So before we move on to Johan, you also have a colorful background, Cristina. So a little bit about that. Maybe not as colorful.
It's true. So I can say I've been in the biggest tech company. So I worked for Amazon for back in my not so long ago young days, right? But I started there. I was there in 10, 12 years ago. that no more because then I was at Netflix. So I started in Amazon in Seattle, and then moved. So before e-commerce was a thing here, right? 2012, 2014 was that, and then I moved to Netflix to launch Netflix in the south of Europe, and then I stayed there for nearly 7 years. Then I moved to blockchain. That's where I met Johan as well as the CTO to a social network that was Taringa, one of the biggest ones in Latin America. And then we co-founded this. So yeah, interesting journey.
Wow.
Okay, over to you, Johan.
Well, I don't came from cameras or Netflix or actors or stuff like that. I'm actually was born and raised in Colombia. Then I moved to the States, and I've been living in Italy for the last 14 years this year. My thing is software. I've been building software for the last 20 years. I started once I realized that I can be the one like behind this screen, changing the stuff when I was playing video games, just as a young boy. And then I started my software engineering career. I've been working in very different industries. I started as a freelancer in the United States. Then I moved here to Italy, working on startups. I built the first Italian bank in cloud. Then I moved to crypto and blockchain, is where I met Cristina. And then we started this adventure with Initia and automation using AI for real and for humans, more like, not like fluffy stuff. There's a lot around. We will be talking about that, I guess.
Do you want to go next, Alfredo?
I'm Alfredo Bloy-Dawson, marketing consultant. Been doing it for the last 12, 13 years here on the Costa del Sol.
And if you just happen to have stumbled across this podcast and wonder who the hell I am, I'm Martin Dell, one of the co-founders of Kyero way back in 2003 when a website was a strange thing. Well, we've got an amazing panel of guests here today. I'm really excited to dive into when AI really hits the road and when it's put into practical use. But before we dive into the detail, Cristina, I wonder if I can just have you clarify what is an AI agent, and when we talk about agentic AI, what's the difference between that and a chatbot?
I'm going to defer that question to Johan, if you don't mind. I love that he was playing that.
All right, let me give it a try. Well, in my head, I like to start from my head, if that's not an issue for you. In my head, an agent is actually like a junior team member that happens to be software. I was talking about software, that's what I do. But actually, we should separate them in 3 generations. Coming back to the question, like what's the difference between a chatbot and an AI agent? There's 3 generations of them. So the chatbot is what everyone hates. It's like the automated decision tree. It's a yes or no, or push this button, and then it never understands what you're saying, and everyone hates it, right? It's just following a script. Then we got the AI chatbots, which is they're way smarter in conversations. They can talk to you, they understand natural language and can give you helpful answers. But most of them are still just that. They just talk. They don't log into your tools or change anything in your system. Then we have the AI agents, is like the next frontier, is what we're building in is what everyone is now, let's say, talking about, right? It still has like a good conversation skills, like perfect ones, like a chatbot, but under the hood, it also has access to your system, to your tools. It has also clear responsibilities and really, really tight skills. So they do know what to do. They can update a CRM, they can send an email, they can have conversations in WhatsApp and qualify leads, and then follow up a process end to end, knowing from the beginning till the end what they need to do. So that's what I said in my head is like a junior team member that just happens to be software.
No, that's great. Thank you. So we can think of an AI agent like an employee that happens to be software, and you hire them to do a job. And the difference now when we're talking about AI agents and automation via AI is different from what we had pre-2023, because before we had no reasoning, we had to follow an if this then that kind of logic. Is that right?
Exactly. That's correct. That was just a script automated with a clear decision tree, well defined. So the models weren't, they were a lot deterministic. LLMs instead are not deterministic. They can just interpret the language, and based on probability, they can pick like the next word they want to, they're going to put in the message.
Brilliant. Thank you. I thought it was useful to establish that before we dive into some of the detail. Annelies, if I can turn back to you and start thinking about your particular situation. What kicked off your conversation with Cristina? Did you have a burning problem? What was the desire to find a solution?
Well, actually, for me, it's you have to be everywhere. You have your clients coming in, you have your meetings, you have your viewings, you have to be all over the place. And sometimes it's not possible to react immediately. Our clients here in Marbella, from all over the world. So we have also different time zones. And it's important that people are feeling the trust and they felt helped. And yeah, sometimes you just can't handle it all. And even the people I work with, if they're busy periods, like when there are a lot of clients coming up and we have our listings, we're selling, buying agent, like it's a lot of stuff going on. And a lot of questions are coming, and also from other agents. We want to book a viewing. And this is like, okay, this is not possible anymore. And with Sofia, she's our concierge. She's like a receptionist. She is always there. And in my mind, I have visualized her. Like in my mind, she has a Spanish dad, Flemish mom. She speaks all the languages. I know what she did for education. I know her hobby. So we really created almost a human person. And this is important, and it helps us and to creating everything. And she's always available for our clients. And for me, the most important thing is that she can respond in our tone of voice, that she really truly understands what chapter is, how we work, who are our clients, what are our listings, what are our challenges. That's what Johan explained, that she really needs to dig into our whole system. So, and then she can respond on a natural way. And this is what we're testing now. And we're going live in a couple of days with our Sofia. So, and for me, we're going to place her on the website. Of course, we're going to mention she's AI, but for me, the goal is, of course, that people think, no, she's real, and this is what we want to create. So people are helped, and she can explain us in short notices, like, okay, this client called or texted, this is what they want, and this is urgent, or this is less urgent. And we can pick up, we can follow everything what she does. So for us, it's a really big assistant. Yeah.
So Sofia is the name of your AI agent.
Yes.
Okay.
She's 29 years old.
And I was going to say, and you think of her as like an employee.
Yeah, we already have a picture. So we really created her. And for me, that's really important, that we put a lot of effort in who she is and what it's not just the bot that I don't have a lot of good experiences. If you're chatting with your bank, for example, oh my God, it's like, no. Okay, pass me through somebody else. I can't handle this. And that is something I didn't want for our company, because that's not a good relationship, or building a good relationship with your clients. So I wanted something different, something real, and voila, they can handle it.
And that experience that you've just touched on there of the bot that just doesn't give you the answer or the feeling that you want. How did you think about avoiding that experience and the potential damage that could do to the chapter brand?
Well, actually, we started in February, so we're now June, and the first 2 weeks, it was a conversation. So Johan will explain maybe how that really worked, but we had to chat with their Initia, or what was her name? And for me, typing.
Aria.
Yeah, Aria. Sorry, it was Aria, exactly. And it could be voice notes. So I explained everything and she was asking us a lot of questions like, okay, today I did this and with this client and we had this meeting. And then she will ask and dig really deeply, like to truly understand what our company is, how we work, what are the leaks, what gives us energy. And after more than 2 weeks, my God, I gave them so much information. I think she needed in therapy after hearing everything, what's going on. But this is truly important to really to catch our DNA, our chapter DNA. This is super important. And now in this phase, so Johan, thank you for all the work you've done. He needed to create all that information and make Sofia for real. And with testing now, all the details now where it's like you can compare it. It's like polishing a diamond, and we're getting there. So
it's really interesting that this isn't an off-the-shelf process, that you've really customized Sofia to be a member of the team.
Exactly. And she really truly needs to understand our tone of voice. This is the most important thing.
Cristina, I was going to, Annelies has mentioned your Aria process. That sounds really interesting. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Exactly, completely. Because when we started talking about, and I think one of the things that I also that we realize with clients, and this is how it also starts, right? Because the people, the main thing now is for people to be able to envision what it actually can be done through these intelligent automations, right? That's the biggest thing. It's not about even, a lot of the people focus into the solution, right? The agent, but we forget to get the hand of the people and say like, hey, let me actually show you what this can do for you. So how we started with this at the beginning, and this is also like our own use case of building an agent for our work, which is we started with clients when we realized that all the potential that it had, but it was difficult to envision for people what it can actually do for myself. We sat with the teams, and it was, workshops, these things of consultancy, right? Workshops, 4 hours, 2 days, you're all exhausted at the end of the meeting. You're like, oh my God, what I don't even remember what I did yesterday anymore. So we realized it was a good way to do it. We're great at doing workshops, and Johan has a really he's great in facilitating workshops. Still, we're always thinking about how we can improve the experience, how we can make this better, right? And how we can actually obtain much better information for both sides. So we realized that it's like, hey, we're building agents for our clients, and then we have the clients 4 hours on a room asking them to tell us what they're doing in their day. We can do this better. So that's why we created Aria. And Aria, it has 2 sides. One is the interface with the client, which is what Annelies was describing, which is, hey, it's installed on any messaging app. So she prefer WhatsApp. There's other clients that prefer Slack or whatever they want to have it. But she reads a text and she listens to voice notes. So the idea, what it is that our clients, they share, like we activate for 3 to 4 weeks, and they start during the day sharing, okay, I've done this. And she's also super engaging. How we like to describe it is like having one of us in the room, but in your pocket. So she's gonna be shadowing you. Of course, with what you share, completely compliant with everything compliant, right? GDPR and EU Act. And what we do, so we start, the people just share what they do in their own words. And then what happens in between is that information is classified, and that's we're talking probably, Johan, you can go more deep into that, right? But how we receive the information is already filtered by identifying what of those tasks can be automated. So it's an in between. That's right. Of course, we do part of the job. Johan, I don't know if you want to add on this part a little bit more.
Yeah, well, what I would like to say is that the hardest part, or the, let's say, what makes the difference when you're doing consultancy is asking the right questions to the clients, right? To your clients. So that's what we did in our workshops. But as Cristina said, is people closed in a room for 4 hours, sometimes a couple of days or even 3 days, and then after you leave the room, probably still some ideas are popping up, or you feel like you didn't conclude it or everything, and then so then you have Aria, as we said. So she was trained with all the experience we have in agile and in coaching. And the thing is, she's great doing the right questions. So you have it in your pocket. You tell it, "Hey, Aria, I just, I don't know, I just had a meeting with one client, telling him about whatever." And it's like, and Aria start asking you questions like, "All right, how often you do these things? How many of these meetings you have every week? How long are they? How do you feel? You feel energized by that, or you feel drained?" And for every single task or thing you're sharing with Aria, she's doing this kind of things, and also replying with your same sort of tone, voice, and language. And after it, there's the second part, which is the analysis, analysis. Cristina, I guess you're going to.
Exactly. That's the report, and then what comes out, that is what Annelies was always describing, like, well, what a mirror, right? Because you start sharing this, and you start to realize when your day is gone, because we don't realize that our days are gone, and what in, right? Like, what did we do on this day? And then the report that we get, so is actually designed, so this is very thought for people to see the ROI of the investment that it will be needed in order to automate, right? Because here's another thing. You can I see.
No, I think actually it would be amazing to share, but I don't know if we can do this, like share really quick how the report looks like.
I don't know if we can, but
I think we could do do an attachment to the show notes or
Exactly,
something. You
I
can
think
just send it to Alfredo later on.
exactly,
Awesome.
because we have a sample report. Yeah, absolutely, for that. But the thing is that, of course, when you're thinking about automating, you also have to be very mindful of the return that automation has, because you have to do an investment. So there's things that sometimes is, oh my God, I would like to get, to get rid of this and give it to a machine. But actually, the development and the investment to do that in order with the return that it will have to you, it doesn't make sense. And that's something that we also want to put on the table, right? To be super honest about how we see the things. So that report, what comes is, okay, this is the amount of hours that is going into tasks that now can be automated. This is the amount, and we calculate, we put it in numbers, because in the end we're businesses, and businesses are numbers. So tip of the iceberg is that part is like, okay, you're spending this amount of time in doing this thing. This is your revenue. You have perfectly clear how much your hour is valued. So if you're spending this time doing these things, then you have to you have a return only of that. And then we start to talk about all the tasks that is not only money draining, but is energy draining at the same time, or that is exactly the same where you're not adding that value, and you can recover those hours to do more business, or to just go relax, so that when you're back, you actually do business better, because that's also super valuable. And that's how it starts. So it has a lot of details into what are the tasks, so that we can then prioritize with the client. And that's it, and that's what we did. So when you talked about how it all started, it started with conversations that we had, and Annelies sharing, oh my God, there's so much that AI can tell me, that we said, okay, let's see actually how much and where, right? And that's where we came out. And then what happened after is we had the conversation around, these are the priorities that we would like to start. And then what it starts is the automation blueprint, that we call it, the process, which is, okay, now let's go deep into these processes and how they're going to change. And that's when we define the system. And I love Annelies call it Sofia, as if it's, as she says, Sofia for everything, and it's like actually several brains behind, right, to do what she wants her to do. But we do it customized because we don't believe, if we talk about an employee, you can't have the same employee acting the same way in different companies. That's the thing. Each one has its own things.
Yeah, really interesting. And when you're looking at the ROI calculation and picking the processes that make sense to automate, do you compare that against the cost of a junior employee or a mid-level employee? What's the sort of rationale there?
I love it. So the thing here is that the tasks that are done by so Aria is deployed in the team members that you want. And that goes, we had from doing Aria, the CEO and the administrative assistant. We had both of them on another companies do them because the CEO was doing administrative stuff. Right. So what we do, because we do it at, okay, this is what your day is doing, that has an associated both cost and also cost of opportunity, which is not only how much salary I pay you, but it's also what am I losing because my time is being spent on this, or how much business could I bring that. So that's how we calculate. We have a conversation with the client also to understand the definition of ROI. So, for example, there's some more, number people, which is, this is the cost that is of this employee. And then, as we say, is the tip of the iceberg. So there's one thing that it's the cost of the employee. Another one is then we start to talk in this quantitative and qualitative, right, point of view. So we have that conversation with the client. For example, in the case of Annelies, I remember very well, the financial person that he has loved the numbers, of course, but then for her, for example, the qualitative part, the trust, the knowing that the clients are attended anytime, that the stress that it gives to, or the alleviation, right, of a stress that it gives to think that if I'm on a visit and someone writes or calls, they're going to be attended, that's part of the return as well of this. So that's the conversation that we have, which is with every client, because each one of them define ROI in different ways.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And like you say, there's the opportunity cost as well of what else you could do with that resource, that time.
And let me make one thing here, because I see and there's this conversation around AI will replace all of us and we're here to I want to cut people. That's not what this is about. You want to help your team to do less of what is the repetitive, of what drains them. And that moment when you recover that time, then you can put those people to do so much more valuable and engaging things. That's our vision. That's the way that we look at AI. Not a way to get rid of people, because that will, in any case, it doesn't exist, because there's always a human in the loop when we're doing these processes as well.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I completely agree. I think I understand why people are afraid of being replaced by AI, but I think it's a lack of vision and a lack of imagination about what their job could be if they didn't have to do all the repetitive stuff.
100%.
Tell us that we are starting a business in this era, and we already have agents that help us on our business.
The most important thing, if I can, we can, because of Sofia, we'll be able to spend our time more building the relationship with our clients, guide the clients and helping their cases, and it's the personal. That's something that AI can't take over, and this is the contact. Like, you can't explain to a client why this property, we need to be there, we need to help them, we need to fully understand. And if she can take over all the repetitive tasks, and all the things that that's like an energy lost, all repeating and taking those calls while you need to be 100% focused on your client at that time. And that's in our market, it's super important. And that's why it's so helpful.
Alfredo.
Just a couple of questions for both of the ladies. The one to ask you, Annelies, which is the one that everybody's always asking, so I might as well get it out. And aren't you worried that Sofia, your AI agent, is going to be talking to customers that it may harm your future relationship with it, and the fact that they might think, I don't want to talk to an AI?
Yeah, I completely understand your question, but that's why the training, what we're doing now, is so important. Like the complete tone of voice, where I'm actually, last week, I was testing her, and I was actually the bitch client. Like, oh my God, I gave her such a hard time. Like, ooh, I'm very happy I didn't had clients like I was. And she completely went wrong. And this is what I wanted. So we had a meeting, and it was like, okay, the way I can be a bitch as a client, but she cannot respond as a bitch. So this is super important. And we really, it's like my diamond, and we're polishing her. And I was like, okay, maybe for me is to adapt, because you have three sorts of people, people who are informative, people who are more thinking by heart, and people who are with the belly, like just like that. And she needs to adapt a bit, but she needs to stay informative and still have some empathy, like a 30% of empathy. And we're really scraping it on that. And if a person is being not so polite, well, then she needs to stay professional. And this is what we're testing now, and all kind of situations. And most important thing is we can really see what she does. We can follow it. And if we see, oh my God, I don't like the way she's reacting, we immediately report it, and we polish her again. And this is how we do it. And that's why we start small. The foundations are the most important thing. And if she does it well after the first step, okay, we go to the next level. And
really practical, sorry to interrupt, a really practical question that I'm sure people will be thinking is, if somebody's engaging with Sofia and they're like, I just don't want to. I'm like 70. I don't want to talk to an AI. I'm sorry. Can I talk to a person? Or can I deal? I don't really want to deal with it anymore. Is that built into it? I mean, that's a stupid question, but I'm sure people will be thinking that. Is there a way for them to tell her, look, Sofia, all due respect, no?
But we keep it short. She's the first, when people are sending us text through WhatsApp and they want to connect, or is this house still available, or I want to sell my house, or whatever, she asks the first repetitive questions and connects with them. And actually, at start, you're not feeling that she's AI. And at one point, Johan programs her that she keeps it short and she doesn't keep on talking, because if you don't but I think Johan can explain that a little bit better. But we decided, like, okay, she can go to that point and then she needs to wrap it up. And she's, okay, I will send you through one of the agents and they will connect with you. It's like a receptionist taking the message and send it through the right person.
One thing that I think I've heard other people explain this that really helped me get my head around this idea of training AI agents and so on and so forth. And that's this idea in terms of the work that goes into it, of what you would have to do with a human if you hired an assistant. You still have to explain to them everything that you just described. It's the same thing. I guess the only difference is that they're not going to leave after 2 weeks because they've got bored of the job. Right, I guess, exactly. And you can improve, and there is an exponential way of improving certain things. The question I had for Cristina, sorry, go on.
Yes, I love that. Yes, sure, John, because
you go, Cristina. No, because you just said something that is really, really, really interesting, Alfredo. So, well, since I'm here, is just what you say. We actually train agents like onboarding a person. So they need to have a clear job description. They need to have curated training material. Like, this is Chapter Marbella. This is the way we behave. This is the kind of properties we sell. And this is everything. So clear and curated training material. Access to the right tools. So if you have a new person, you need to give her access to, I don't know what it is, the WhatsApp channel they use, or the CRM, or the mailing list, or whatever. And a probation period is really important, which is the period actually Sofia is now, as Annelies were saying, right? Is we need to watch everything they do, and we need to say, all right, this needs to be polished, this behavior needs to be improved, and everything. So yeah, it's just like onboarding a person into the team.
And Alfredo, to your question, sorry, because it didn't get a reply. Yes, it is built in. If someone says, I want to talk to someone, she understands, and then she sends the message to the group, and yes, that is built in, because we didn't say it clear. Yes.
Yeah, she actually does two things on that. Three things. She replies straightforward to you saying, all right, I will forward the message to the team, to Annelies and Arnaud. She also sends you the contact. So in case you want to contact them first, here you have the phone number. And she then sent the the escalation message to Annelies saying, hey, this is Alfredo. He wants to talk to you.
Right. The question at me, this will probably lead on to what Martin's probably going to touch on in a second, but I'm quite interested in the gap between this, what you just described, Sofia, and where an estate agent is thinking, this sounds good. It sounds like there's a potential gap of a huge amount of work by somebody that isn't paid for. As a consultant, my consultant head, like where they want to talk and have a coffee and discuss and do this and do that and what can we do? So how do you manage, like, what other questions from the people that we worked with so far what's a bad fit customer for you where you're thinking, look, this just, you haven't got the mindset for this? Probably Cristina is probably the question.
I love that you asked this question, Alfredo, because yes, this is a learning process for us as well. I'll tell you, because as I told you, there's a lot of discovery phase, right? There's a lot of people trying to wrap their head around. And to be completely honest, just because you also asked the question, is we started with the solution, right? Right at the beginning, when we started, we were focusing a lot into, hey, look at the agents. We build these agents. This is the solution itself, right? In the end, the Sofia, if you want to call it. But people were, it was, at least what happened also with Annelies, it was at the beginning that is, yeah, but I don't know. So that's why we built, so what you say about the consultancy mindset, right? We built okay, we need to focus on helping the clients discover what can be done. And that's why there's 2 points of entry, right? One is Aria. Aria has the additional benefit that you're already interacting with an agent, right? As Johan was describing it at the beginning. So it's also, suddenly the experience is like, oh, wow, this can be done by AI. To discover what can be done, or sometimes is, I have these use cases that I really want, I don't know, reactivating my database or doing all the reports that I have to do every time, so some specific things that they're already scoped and they already know. And then from there is, okay, first engagement is we're gonna deliver, what is going to be the system. And that is when you get paid for that, because as you say, there's a huge amount of work behind to understand the business, develop the best design, the best solution for what they want. And and we also need the commitment from the other side that they're going to be providing all the information that we need in order to develop the best, what Annelies is seeing now, right? This is made for you. Like Sofia won't work for any other real estate company. Mind about any other industry, right? That's how we started to build the product ladder, right? As well, the service ladder.
As I am a consultant, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I was thinking, like, my biggest challenge is probably 90% of my wasted time, which isn't wasted, but it's just the reality of life, is spent having coffees with people that want to spend 3 hours discussing how I might be able to help them. And I haven't got a very clear, efficient way of not happening. So I have to. It's a very thing to manage. And I would imagine with what you do, which is so conceptual, is so new, that the potential for you to, I don't mean this badly, but just to waste a tremendous amount of time talking to people that haven't got the budget, don't understand what they're asking for. Maybe even as far as they're using ChatGPT to ask you for what they want, not realizing what it is that they've just asked for, and you're just burning hours and hours and hours of your week, right? That's just the reality. I'm trying to help it from an agent point of view.
Completely. And Alfredo, I'll tell you, like, this is, and we've been there, right? Like, we've been there spending a lot of hours, and suddenly, it's like, okay, we've spent this amount of hours, and then the client is, no, actually, you know what, not. That's why we're iterating on that as well and learning a lot. But that's why being able to have clear deliverables is helping us a lot. So yes, I will have a coffee. Of course, we can a first one, but out of that, we have to know if there's some material to go ahead or not. But that is also on us to try to wrap like a clear outcome. It's like, okay, we go this, we will have this outcome, which is what happened with Annelies. We've gone through that process together, Annelies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, she was really clear on that, and from the start, and it was first the pilot, and then with Aria, all the explanation, and this is separate. And after when we had the results from Aria, and it was a huge report actually, was so interesting. That was my mirror as a company, like, wow, all these hours, and you really didn't have, sometimes you don't know how much time you spend on some stuff. And Aria was asking me all the questions I was never thinking about, like, but how many hours you spent on those emails, how many hours on your account, how much to your clients, how, like, all those kind of stuff. At the end, it's a lot. And the whole report, we had to pay for that. And after that report was, okay, what are the next steps? What is the thing you need the most? What is most urgent? What is your dream? Oh, what would be, oh my God, your fat, and it's huge. We can make Sofia huge, but yeah.
I love the
Step by
fact
step.
that, sorry, I love the fact, at least the way I'm understanding it correctly. I love the fact that this Aria is not only saving Cristina and Johan time by doing all those questions that a human might have to ask, so it becomes less painful to get information you need to know if you can actually help them. Painful financially, I mean, because you can't, And but then I love the fact that it's an agent that's getting the information from them. So it's getting them used to seeing what the person on the receiving end is going to get, because that's where a lot of the reticence is from. Is like, oh, what's it going to? I don't want to talk to a robot. I said, well, you just spent 2 weeks talking to a robot. How was that? Type of idea,
But I never had the feeling I was talking to a robot, almost, because she was so accurate and she showed a lot of empathy as well. And at one point she made me think about, oh my God, and that, and I shared information like, okay, and with this client, or sometimes you can be really frustrated by a deal not going through. And I shared that information as well. And she was replying. And sometimes it was like a session with a therapist. It was like, so it was crazy. And the reflection was like, oh my God, maybe I could do this. And it gives you so much ideas beside my Sofia project. So that was a very interesting journey. Very interesting.
I love the way you nail it, Alfredo, because it was actually born for that. Aria is, on one side, is of course saving us time, also time from the clients to have a good experience, so you can just be driving and sending note voices to discuss about whatever pops out in your head. So that's one side, but the other one is also actually to let you try the experience to use a real AI agent. So that's basically why Aria was born.
What strikes me is the process you've described there, Annelies. You've sort of demonstrated a huge capacity for imagination. And I'm thinking about an estate agent who's either maybe chatted with the free version of ChatGPT. It's really a question for Johan and Cristina. How do you get an agent who kind of gets what these large language models are, but in a really basic way? How do you take them on that journey to what one of your agents could do for them? Because it's an education process, right?
Exactly. There's a lot of investment, and that's why our approach is boutique. It's not like, we're not looking here at the huge scale the business super fast, because we know that the phase that we are now in requires a lot of investment, and what I like to say is holding hands, is understanding where the client is and what is the state, and also the willingness to innovate. You were asking me, Alfredo, around how do we match the right clients. Well, this what you just described about this capacity of imagination, there's this part from the client, like willingness to do something new, to explore new ideas. That's when you can really when there's the match, right? Because then we have the tools to help them discover what it can actually do, and then develop everything. So we don't stay we don't stay in the consultancy only, part, and we develop, because what we want is to actually save that time and be the ones that are developing those systems for them and maintaining them, because that's what we want. We want the outcome. But we understand that for the outcome, there's a journey. So that's why we started to say, okay, let me have, show you piece by piece, and let's commit to this part together. Of course, the clients that are like, yeah, but okay, I'm paying 20 euros or not even to ChatGPT, and I don't need, I already have it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This is a wave. I've seen it many times during my life, the wave of technology. Johan, yourself as well. So we know it will come, but it's the early adopters now that it's the ones that are coming in, and Annelies is one of them, the innovators. Johan.
Also, I just want to add to Alfredo's question regarding how we filter the clients. There's one really, really hard line for us, because we also business owners, right? So we understand that, and it's the people who wants to just get rid of people. There's two ways you can scale businesses, right? One is doing the same with less people, and that's the clients we don't want to have. One is doing more with the same people, and that's the kind of people we want to help.
Really interesting. Actually, while you were all talking, it occurred to me a question I was going to ask Annelies was, why didn't you just hire somebody? Why didn't you just hire a real Sofia? But then I realized, even if you could find the perfect Sofia as a human being, that doesn't scale. Like, you've only found one Sofia. If you want to get bigger and do more, you need to find another Sofia.
I would need 3 Sofias, because it's you have 24 hours and it's 8-hour shifts. So yeah, it's like my Sofia with AI, what she will give me, and what I'm hoping is she gives my team, myself, more breathing room. And so we can stay on top of everything and be more effectively. And actually, if that can happen, then we really, truly build something very special. And it gives my team and myself more breathing room and reduce the stress. Because the stress, like, I can't swear. No. No, to reduce the stress, like, oh, I see the client calling, but I'm in the middle of negotiation. I can't answer that one, but this is an urgent task. Okay, well, I know Sofia will handle, or she's texting, or this client, or he's coming, or that agent, he has a client now, he wants to see the property, but I can't answer now. If you see those messages coming in on your phone, it's like the stress alert, then you're bam, and it's not healthy. And with Sofia, it's and she's really truly honest, and she will not leave me after a month or having a better offer. And she's loyal. She's so loyal. She's so nice, and she has her working hours, and behind her working, it's an important thing. And it's actually, for me, very important is to reduce stress as well. That's an important one.
Yeah.
Well, really interesting. I'm sorry, Cristina, go ahead.
No, I was going just to say, because of course she's going to go live, but we also have live. We already have live with other clients, and I'll tell you something that I've observed as well when we go live, because they all start as an elite, right? It's like, okay, the breathing room, and that, which absolutely happens. But not only that, we have also from other clients, same type of businesses, right? That then what happens is that the lead is not only attended, but is also nurtured. So what happens is that people suddenly is like, hey, what attended me is an AI. Wow, she's amazing. Wow, she was so helpful. Wow, it gives such a great image of you. We've had screenshots from our clients sending us the feedback that their clients give from talking to her. So that is also something that we see that happens, which is amazing, because you're not only alleviating their stress of, okay, they're attended, it's also that they are so well attended because it's been worked on the brand and everything so much. It's like one employee, you see how Sofia talks, how Annelies talks about Sofia. And that's the thing. And that's the additional benefit as well, when things are properly done.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, the benchmark isn't the perfect human being, the perfect employee, because they don't exist. So it's all very well saying, where's the human element in all this? But actually, if you can answer a call on time and reliably with consistent brand, it looks like automating an existing task, but actually it's elevating the existing task as well, I think.
Also because in this case, we as humans have our own day. Like there's days that we respond better, we respond worse, we respond, and in this case, you are What I love is one of our clients told us is I have more of the work that I love, which is when she talks with people, they already had the experience, so they arrive, and the conversations that she has are already okay. I know everything. We go. It's all their qualification on that part is gone, and she focuses on what she loves, and we intervene when it matters.
I had a question. This is going to sound really stupid, but I'm sorry, I'm old. Can Sofia be in more than one place at once? Meaning, if two calls come in or two things happen, do they go in a Sofia queue, or is this just happening? Does that make sense?
I didn't get the question.
So let's say you train Sofia to follow up a lead if it comes in quickly and start dealing with it. Can Sofia deal with multiple leads in this example, multiple leads at the same time, or is it kind of like a queue kind of thing?
No, yeah,
You know what I
exactly. This is actually a great question. It is not stupid at all. Because this is the advantage also, as you were saying, a person doesn't scale in this kind of task. Sofia does. So Sofia can handle multiple conversations. Sofia or any AI agent, well done. We're just talking about Sofia because we're really excited about it, right? But any AI agent, well done, in this case, a conversational agent, as Sofia is, can handle multiple conversations at the same times by following the skills and the workflow it has. So it can be qualifying different leads in different languages 24/7. So yeah, that's the scalability about this. Yeah,
I think that's one of the most amazing things for me. I know we've had machine translation for a long time, but the ability of the agents or even chat to switch between languages and the quality of the language now is just phenomenal.
Yeah, because I was talking to her like in the Aria project or the project, I was in Flemish, and I hate typing, so I did the voice notes, of course, and she was reacting. So she was writing me back, and she understood everything. And Flemish, well, it's not the biggest language in the world. Not a lot of people are speaking it, so it's a tricky one with AI. I think with Swedish it's the same thing, but she nails it. She completely understands and responds in our language. And yeah, the bigger the language, like with English, of course, or Spanish. So many people are speaking those languages, but it's a smaller language. Or if you have people from Eastern Europe, or the clients are from all over the world, and they can, if they're talking in their own language, that's an important thing.
So you're just about to go live, Annelies, later this week. What will you be paying attention to and keeping an eye on? What are the numbers or the metrics that are going to be right in front of you?
For me, the most important thing is her tone of voice. Like the way she responds and how she tells it, it needs to be, that's super important because it's the first contact with a client. And as I mentioned earlier, trust is so difficult to gain. Like people do not trust sales agents. It's 96% of the people have difficulties to trust an agent. So this is she's first line. And it's super important that her tone of voice is very good. It's our tone of voice and the details, the things that our chapter DNA, that she fully understands it. And this is something we've been working on months to train her. And if there are things going wrong or she says some stuff that I don't really like, we can follow everything and we keep on polishing her. And but I have a lot of trust because we already doing a lot of testings and it's amazing.
And what does that process look like of paying attention to her tone of voice? Do you have a dashboard or an audit log? How does that work?
Annelies will have, now that it's in the testing phase, it's on my side. But once Sofia is running, Annelies will have access to Sofia's WhatsApp in this case, whether this WhatsApp or email. She will actually can look at the conversation. It's just like seeing WhatsApp acting automatically, so you can see actually how it is replies, how is the conversation going, and every kind of these things.
Cool. Alfredo.
Yeah, I just to again provide some value to the audience, which are mostly estate agents. A couple of sort of a compound question, if I can. The one is, I know that the cost of everything depends, but I don't think anybody has any sense of cost. Meaning, there's setup cost for something like this. I wish you're not going to tell me what exactly it is, but something like this for an estate agency to automate and create their own version of Sofia along similar parameters. There'll be the upfront cost of setting up and development, and then there's an ongoing cost. And I'm quite curious to just get a sense of it. Are we talking tens of thousands for setup and monthly thousands, or is it something completely different, Cristina?
Completely, yeah, great question, and I completely understand it. So there's a few things that you need to think about this with this. So when we talk about automations, like every automations that we do is around, it takes to deliver value between a month to 2 months. That's how we also design the systems, right? So that you can start to see, instead of going into really long tech projects, that is like, okay, you're gonna see something in months, like from February that Annelies said to now, she's tried like 3 different things already because with the different things that we did. So you can think about that, right? So we're talking about the thousands of on the setup, which depends obviously in the complexity. So of course, something that is isolated has its own channel and it doesn't speak to anything, right? There's no integrations with something. We might be talking in the lower thousands. Then if we go, to huge integrations, we might be already touching the tens of thousands, right? For that, and the projects will be also longer. Still, we try to split it so that you start to see value very soon. And then when we're talking about the maintenance, we're talking about hundreds to few thousand, depending as well on the level of, mostly it's on the level of, how do you say, involucración, like that. No, it's not. It's not on. It's volume. Is the level of volume of interactions. That's one part, exactly. And the other part is how much do you want us to be on top of the system? So is it only we maintain it and that's it? So that is the, like the lowest part, including the volume that we estimate. That's why we talk a lot about with the clients. So that is okay for your business. We agree that this is the volume that you expect, and that is included in the monthly setup in the monthly fee that we put. But then, of course, if you want to keep doing improvements, because it always happens that I want to keep doing improvements, that's also, we offer that part as well. So it will always depend on how much is the level of service that the client wants afterward.
And the second part of that's great. Just to get an idea, because nobody has an idea. They don't know it's €1 or a million. And we can save a lot of people a lot of time that have a budget of €200 from trying to build their own Sofia, or whatever, or even not trying to have their own, thinking it's a lot more than it actually is. So I think that's super useful. The second part of this is who you've dealt with a few estate agencies, so you got a good sense of the market here, international market, etc., etc. You've done the audit of the processes and so on. Who other than from the top level, where it's sort of, if you're looking to reduce team, then we're not for you as a fit criteria. But which estate agents listening to this right now are not a good fit for this sort of process? Not with you, just in generally. Who would you say, yes, you're right for, you're not probably there yet. Just give it another year.
That's an interesting question, because to me, it's in the end, it's a matter of mindset. I don't know, Johan, if you would have something different, but in my case, it's a matter of mindset, because every business now can benefit from this, because every business has challenges. Like, there's no business that doesn't do anything repetitive. And we're talking about this use case of attending clients, but there's so many other use cases, like document verification, administrative part, repetitive. We're all already exploring with Annelies other different use cases that have to do more with their internal operations. So every business has the potential to benefit from this. It may that be client-facing, may that be internal-facing. So to me, it's more a matter of mindset, like saying, no, this is not for me, because of not being open to listen to the possibilities. That's what I would say. Johan, I don't know if you have any other.
Yeah, I would say, well, on top of what we already said, that this is not about getting rid of people. I would say that is a matter of mindset, as you said, and be conscious that actually statistically, there's 70% of the activities any business run is automatable as today, which is still early. So the thing is, if you're waiting 1 year more, you're probably losing some sort of competitive advantage here. And if you're starting now, you're gaining a lot of traction, because in 1 year you will be really, really ahead of your competitors in this market. Everything is not everything, but at least let's be conservative. Let's say at least 40% of the task we execute today are going to be automated, but in a matter of just a couple of years from now. So we need to be there as business.
But the thing is, no, for me at the beginning, I had zero idea where to begin and what the possibilities were. And everybody's talking about AI, and you have like the fear of missing out, and like, but where do where do you start? And if you react on one thing, like on your Instagram, my God, you see them all. The stress level is like, whoa, you don't want to miss out. And for me, after and having zero clue about the technology behind, it's like rocket science for me. But with this team, they were able to explain it to a 5-year-old, and actually, for me, I have the feeling I'm on the right train at this moment, and I don't have to catch it anymore. So, and that's an important thing for me. And I'm terrible in all this. I'm in a tech hub. I work here, but actually, it's not my thing. I'm the worst person for that. But still, now I'm on top of it, and with Marbella 2.0 and everything that's going on, and it's a comfortable feeling that I'm on the train. So it's a nice journey.
That's brilliant. I think we've given this a really good shape. I really appreciate all of your inputs. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Annelies. Alfredo, what's your takeaway from the episode so far?
It's about mindset, and the mindset probably is less about let's save some money and more about what else can we do. And the second part of my takeaway is knowing Annelies like I know her. She's from Belgium, where they're very conservative, very polite, and she's not a 10-year-old. She's not, a tech whiz. So I guess if it was right for Annelies, it's right for most people.
Nice. Thank you. I've got the similar one. I was struck by needing the imagination to envisage what could be rather than automating what already exists. And I think the approach of using Aria to interview the clients is really smart. That makes a lot of sense to me. And with that, thank you all. Join us next week for episode 5, where we go inside a tech-enabled agency to see what that looks like.